On target.
So I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and I thank you for joining us once again.
Join the conversation.
I looked at it on Facebook and I read the speech and I'm trying to find out what is the commitment to renal failure in Nevis, and I'm yet to find it.
Be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach, because when he makes those suggestions, he is in a sense misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it. On target.
So I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and I thank you for joining us once again.
Join the conversation.
I looked at it on Facebook and I read the speech and I'm trying to find out what is the commitment to renal failure in Nevis, and I'm yet to find it.
Be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach, because when he makes those suggestions, he is in a sense misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it.
Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of On Target. And as usual, on a Saturday afternoon, I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and I'm waiting my co-host, Henry Daniel, who is always late. I think he's going to be late for his own funeral. Anyway, I know he's busy doing yeoman service in our community, so I'm not too worried. He'll get here when he gets here. Let me say good afternoon to special persons who have signed in already. Tessa Brown Paris, my good friend. How are you? I hope all is well. Happy Easter to you also. And Cecile Hobson, good afternoon to you. Ormin Farrell, good afternoon to you. And my good friend Ivor down there in Florida. Happy Easter to you also. And all those who are listening via the internet and via tuning radio. I can't see you, but you can certainly hear me. And let me say a special good afternoon to you and happy Easter to you. We have been getting some fairly good showers. We didn't get much today, but yesterday we had quite a bit of showers. It kind of affected the kite flying exercise up there on the flats. But I would have seen pictures, on Facebook, persons who won prizes for the largest kite. The largest kite was 10 feet tall. Wow. And most decorated. I don't think there was much flying of kites because, of course, you can't fly tissue paper kite in rain. It doesn't work. It does not work. But I understand the attendance. Nevertheless, people came out for the food, the conky and the saltfish and the regular Easter fare. People came out in support of the vendors who would have taken quite a bit of energy and resources to bake and boil and knead those goodies as traditional Easter lunches go and breakfast. And I understand this year was no different in terms of the persons who would have came out and tried to make a dollar, in this very difficult time. And so to all those who made the event a success up there at the flats or wherever else they had kite flying in abundance, I say, well done. And hopefully next year it'll be better weather. This is the first Easter On Good Friday, I know, with rain fell. It's strange. Last year, we had no wind. The year before that, we had no wind. And so the kites had a hard time getting up. This year, we had a lot of wind, but wind and rain, not good for flying. I didn't hear or see a single kite all day yesterday. And so it's one of those things, save your kite, and enjoy it, when the weather clears up. It's quite overcast today. I can't say it's been raining. There was an early morning shower, but that was really early morning, like 4 morning. I haven't seen anything since, but it's been threatening, but, nothing yet, nothing yet. And today, the Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons will be having her Easter egg hunt over there in St. Thomas's. I think it started at 1 o'clock. I think it goes from 1 to 6. That must be a lot of eggs to keep those children occupied for 6 hours, 5 hours, hunting eggs. I don't know. What do you do when you find them? I don't know if they're cooked eggs or raw eggs. I don't know. Or it's just candy eggs. I'm not certain. I am assuming it's candy eggs. I would hate to believe that, somebody breaking somebody's chicken coop and say, hey, these are Easter eggs. There's some people in Congo still have chickens in their coops. I don't want these kids get in trouble for breaking and entering a coop. I just say a coop. That would be too funny. Angel Nisbet, my good friend, how are you? Happy Easter to you. I do apologize to all those who would have tuned in expecting myself and Carlisle and Tulu to be on air on Thursday evening on Tell Me, but Carlisle being, a practicing Anglican, he decided that, he wanted to take Holy Thursday off. And who am I to complain? I get a night off, But people are calling me, you're not going to be on, you're not going to be on. I was like, no, sorry. But people are tuning in, perked up and ready to go on Thursday evening and bap, There was no show on Thursday. So we try to cover as much ground on this show as, normally on Thursday we cover some things, and Saturday we clean up and finish. Today I have to cover everything that has been happening or not happening here on Nevis. It's supposed to be a busy weekend, actually, on Nevis. Persons have been advertising, come to Nevis. Nevis sexy for the weekend. I think today there was supposed to be a boat race between Ryan and Muscle, I understand. I would think it was today, somebody told me. If I'm not mistaken, it's today. Maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe. I think it's Sunday. Actually, it's Sunday. Right here on the waterfront in Charlestown. It's a boat race, power boat race. I don't know how you have a race between two boats. Just two boats. Unless other people, going to come in with their little 40 horsepower engines. Or I don't know. I can't see myself making time out my day for two boats racing by themselves. Neither here nor there with me, but I wish them all the best and be safe, because there's some swells. Looking out the window here, I can see some maybe 3-4 foot swells, and the wind is coming out the southeast, and those winds are normally pretty consistent, and so you have to be very careful as a small boater. And if those boats flying at 100 miles an hour hit the wrong wave, pow, guess what happens? You go on flying one way, the boat go on the other way. So be careful out there, guys. Ryan and Muscle, be careful, very careful out there today. On Monday, Dr. Janice Hodge, Daniel Hodge, the party leader, the Nevis Reformation Party leader, will be having her fisherman tournament, Fishers Day, over there in St. James at Newcastle. And she's asking all to come out and support. The boats. I think the tournament is $100 fee to enter, and you can win $1,000 for the most fish caught. And this is, they call demersal or pot fish, but you can't use a pot. You have to use hand lines or fishing poles. It'd be unfair to be you out there trying to catch fish by hand and somebody go and pulls a pot and say they win. I don't know how you guard against something like that. I guess it's the honor system. It has to be honor system. And so there'll be a fish fry and games and all that kind of things. So that's on Sunday. I think it starts around midday. after, and it runs into the evening. I think Odyssey Band is supposed to be there. And I'm not certain how you exercise protocol in terms of the COVID, but I don't know how you get that done. You know, fish fry and a band playing. I don't know how you get it done. But, you know, given the fact that we have no community spread, I guess people feel sort of safe that, you know, it's good to go. Okay. So if you have time tomorrow, you know, go on down to the Newcastle fish landing site down there at Newcastle Bay and be a part of it. It should be a fun day. And something else is happening. I can't remember, but if I do remember, I'll let you know. Then on next Saturday, the launch of the candidate for St. Paul's, the soon to be Honorable J.D. Keynes. She will be launched next Saturday at the Villa grounds, just below the high school, Charleston High School, on Saturday. The time has not yet been posted, but normally you'll launch in the late afternoon, maybe 4, 5 o'clock. Get everything going, and it promises to be quite an event. Anybody who knows JD, she's a consummate professional and organizer, and so you can expect that everything will be done to specifications. Everything will be done, you know, to keep that professionalism about her going. And of course, we are all going to be there at the Villa grounds, and we're going to be short on the speeches, not like my launch when they had 100 people speaking and me speaking for 100 minutes. This one promises to be more, you know, a meet and greet kind of event where people can converse and have a word with the candidate and see or hear her plans one-on-one. And, you know, it's going to be a great event. And so her launch will be Saturday. And what we are contemplating is that there'll be a launch every week or every 2 weeks after that for the other candidates. So Dr. Bartlett, Patricia Bartlett will be launched, and Dr. Janice Hodge will be launched. And of course, Cleon Stapleton Simmons will be launched. The sequence, I'll be honest and tell you, I am not remembering the sequence, and I don't want to put misinformation out there. And so when I get the exact sequence of who goes next, I will let you know. All right? We're still looking for a candidate for St. George's, Gingerland, Nevis 3. So I'm hoping that there's somebody out there who is brave enough, who is committed enough, who has the interests of public service in their hearts, that they will step up to the plate and make sure Gingerland is represented in this coming election. It is constitutionally due by May or so, 2022, but we are hearing rumblings that it may come sooner. Whichever date comes, the government, I hope for once divisions will put the record of the government up for examination. No more pretty socks and pretty shoes and kitchen sets and all kind of nonsense which does not put food on your table. I would hope that people start examining the performance of this government and saying, listen, you know, we haven't gotten value for money. We need a change. We need to make a difference. We need something different. We are getting hyperbolic presentations by a minister who talks a lot and delivers very little. You know, all the ministries he holds, Ministry of Tourism, Finance, Communication and Works, and you name it. And you can't get one iota of meaningful production out of him. And it's time for him to surrender and move on to something else he can manage. I don't know what that is. He has to find that because he's not doing a very good job. You know, I'm just not talking because of politics. Look at the record of the gentleman. Look at tourism. Look at airlift. Look at development. Look at, oh my goodness, finance. We are in a basket case in terms of finance. Over 500 million in debt. And we can't point to any meaningful level of productivity because of that phenomenal debt. So it is time we grow up, divisions. It's time that we mature politically and stop waving this blue flag or green flag simply because we like blue or green. Look at what the performance should be and must be, and say, listen, no, I like you as a person, I voted for you in the past, but I have to now look more closely at where we are as a country, where we were and where we need to go, and I don't think you have the vision to get us there. Let us try a different horse. That is political maturity. That is how you get things done. And you will recall in 2017, I believe, Mia Mottley in Barbados was able to convince her electorate that this was the case. But the sitting government at the time, they have not lived up to the hype. They have not done enough. And she was able to sweep all seats. Even the sitting prime minister, the outgoing prime minister, lost his seat. When have you ever heard that happen on Nevis or St. Kitts? Even the sitting prime minister lost his seat in Barbados. My goodness. What is the difference between a Bayesian and a Nevisian? I'll tell you what. I believe, having visited Barbados so many times and having so many instances of conversation with Bayesians, believe me, just like in Antigua, they are up there in terms of knowledge of what's happening in the country, and they're willing and able to put that knowledge to work. They're quite willing and able to say to the government every day, thanks but no thanks. We need a different direction. We need to go further than you have taken us. And so my hat is off to the Bayesian population there in, of course, Barbados, who decided in 2017 to put the then incumbent government to rest. 2018, sorry, to put them to rest and bring in a new stable of managers. And you can see the difference. You can see the difference. When you hear Mia Mottley speak, she puts shivers through your veins. It's like, where was this woman all along? Why did it take her this long to come into a view for the whole world to see what she's made of? And she reminded me so much of Stacey Abrams up there in Georgia. The same sort of, sincerity and commitment, public service, and I wonder if being female has anything to do with it, because we have a full slate so far of females, and the premier sees fit to insult them and say NRP is full of mascara and makeup. I never get in. I can never have any respect for this gentleman. The misogyny, the speaking down to ladies, speaking down to our youth. Nobody's ever good enough. And so he has characterized Dr. Patricia Bartlett, a woman trained in veterinary medicine at Tuskegee. He is putting down Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, a party leader, who got a doctorate in oh my goodness. Just look at the Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons, lawyer. You have J.D. Keynes, he's university trained at UVI, who did so many great things as a young lady. And all the premier can say is that NRP is putting out mascara and makeup. I mean, you can't get any more insulting than this. The last time I checked, we were all born from females. The last time I checked, my sisters are female. I have two daughters who are female, and I would like to believe that females are just as capable, or in most instances more capable than men, most of the men around here. And so when the fathers run away from the obligations, who stands with you? Who stands in the house and say, I will have to stay here because it's my child? You can hear me, Hensley? Good. Good afternoon, Hensley. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm here. You know, it's Easter. I had yesterday the opportunity to eat a little cassava bread and conky. It's another conky this morning for breakfast, made by Suti's wife, big conky maker and so. And so, you know, Easter. And as I came in here and I heard a discussion about the skirt and mascara. And I think I want to know which woman going to the polling station and vote for the party led by the premier. Because you see, it's not a joke business, you know. It is what's inside you comes out. And he has made the kind of remark that must offend all of us men and all women. And you were making the point about the qualifications of the women. I'm not even, that is so plain to see, but the larger question is this. These are women who, can opt to do many other things other than politics. And so they have decided to join the Nevis Reformation Party to lead a movement that began in 1970. And so they are persons and they are people. So don't put them down and talk about mascara and skirts in our culture. And you know, all of us don't
Put
care
this.
that they,
Somebody saying they can't hear you. Use this. You put two microphones together. Let me see.
I am saying, that it is offensive and the women in the country must treat it as such. That same man is going to come to look for your vote, to say vote for you, vote for him over Pat, vote for the other candidates over Janice, over Cleone and over JD. And I'm saying the women in the country have always held the stick in relation to looking after children, in relation to ensuring that the churches are run, the political parties are run, the community organizations are run. They are led largely by women. Our teachers are largely women. Our nurses are largely women. And now, because you have a field where the NRPK has broken the glass ceiling and said, look, take out the glass ceiling, everybody come through. So we don't have any glass ceiling in relation to male-female participation at the top. We in the Nevis Reformation Party have made it quite possible for all women, any woman, to rise to the level.
But let us make something quite clear, because there's this misinformation out there that we went out and sort of manufactured the slate of candidates,
foolishness,
which is far from the fact.
No.
Persons would have indicated the interests. They will step forward, and through a process of elimination, you got through, and we got the best that there was at the time. And so, you know, when women break through this proverbial glass ceiling, you know, it is because the glass ceiling was put there artificially. Because I believe for some reason men have always been afraid of powerful women.
No, but those are men with low self-esteem and low self-confidence.
And small nuts, you said?
And yeah, well, you are saying that. But I am saying that we in the Nevis Reformation Party have been brave enough to put 80% of the candidates, 80% of the candidates as women. And you know, Kel, what is offensive is this. It is as if women don't know what it so suggests that women can't lead. Look at Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland. She set the administration and management of Scotland apart and made Boris Johnson look like a schoolboy in terms of management and administration. Look at Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand. She has led, and she is an example. You want to learn how to control a virus? Our pandemic.
But we also have heroes.
Angela Merkel.
We have Merkel.
Here in Nevis,
we have the former president of Liberia. We have Johnson. We have right here in Dominica.
But Eugenia Charles,
Eugenia
you
Charles.
know what they say the OECS means? Only Eugenia Charles speaks, because Eugenia Charles was was a robust leader of Dominica, and in the 80s led, and the men were quiet. So the OECS, when the OECS was formed in 1981, she's Prime Minister of Dominica, and the people used to say the OECS means only Eugenia Charles, because she always made it clear what was her position on whatever issue it was.
But you see, the acronym might be fine, but when you look at the substance being produced,
Right.
my only disappointment with Eugenia Charles, I must be honest, is when she sided with Reagan
Right.
to invade Grenada. I had a difficulty with that, but they needed somebody to stand up, somebody who could speak well and have the force of the Caribbean behind her, and Eugenia Charles was that person. But that to me, that one blemish would not
Right.
erase
But
her contribution to Caribbean politics.
the point is, instead of saying to us, and this is what I want the Nevis Reformation Party supporters to understand, say to all of our detractors that we have given women the opportunity, not just a woman to run. The majority of the candidates taking part in the next election are going to be women. And don't let anybody fool you about skirt and mascara. It's a very offensive statement, Kel, and we will not let him live it down. This is good. We must hang it around his neck right through the political campaign, because this is offensive behavior to women who, as you were pointing out, have gone through the ropes. They have children, they are people, they are working, they are public servants. Nobody in this country, I want to ask this question, Kel. Anybody in this country, and they can call in on the radio, all the listeners, or they can write you by text. Tell me one organization that Mr. Brantley was a member of. He has the blankest cassette when it comes to being a leader. So we take up a whole country we take up and give it to him, and not on the basis of having done anything before, not on the basis of having led being involved in anything. That's why he could operate as he does, because that's why he's at variance with the people, because he has never worked with them and never been to them. And now you come to women like Patricia, who has been involved in enterprise, in the public service, in community service, and you're telling me that Janice, who is leading the Newcastle Bay Foundation and trying to develop, as you scientists would say, trying to deliver the blue economy, making sense of the blue economy. JD, who is a communications person and has been in the public domain, and Cleone, who is in the parliament with you, and you're referring to them as people with mascara and skirt. Cleone is in the parliament with you as an elected member. And this is the kind of condescending and out of order comments.
In a more mature democracy, he perhaps, except for Trump, would have been out the door.
Oh, yeah.
There would have been an uprising among the females in our community, leaders of community groups. And I when divisions accept this from a leader, this is something he holds in his heart.
He believes it.
Sometimes his mouth gets ahead of his brain, because no person in their right mind, even if they think it, wouldn't dare say it. But he feels he can get away, and he has been getting away with slighting and underserving our female community for a long time. But before we get any further ahead, let me say good afternoon to a few people on the wall here. Ash Liebert, good afternoon to you.
Wade and Liebert.
Liebert. Jetty Taylor, good afternoon to you all in Chi-Town. Elvan Elliot in California, good afternoon to you. Frankie Lawrence, my good friend, how are you?
St. Martin.
Yeah. Angel, of course, is always with us. And Ian Nevis, Big Papa Taylor. Yes, the function is next week, Monday. This Monday coming. Yes, it's Monday coming at Newcastle Landing Site. Who else is? Evan Jeffers is in the house. Rhonda Brown, she's not here yet, but who else is here? Nigel Watley, my good friend Banger up there in New York. Yes, he has a better mic now. All right. And who else is here? Delicious isn't finally in the house. She's here. Here's a Claxton, Kitchen King, my good brother down there in St. Croix.
He is that general from Brown Hill.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
She's in the house. Here's a Claxton.
Okay, good.
Rhonda Brown is finally signed up. Loretta Clark Queely up there in Florida. She's wishing everybody happy Easter. Same to you, my dear. And she's out shopping for her grandchildren. Grandma.
No, tell Loretta cut out this thing about grandma, because when the
Listen.
way I see a dressing kell, anybody would seep her, as we say locally. If you see her, you can't resist seeping her.
I see the pictures and I keep mum.
You keep mum.
I keep mum because I can't say anything.
You don't have an accidental seep.
No. I can't trust it. Margaret Taylor, good afternoon to you. Charles Tyson in the
yes.
house again. Good to have you, Charles. No fishing today. The weather is bad. What happened? Who else is in the house? Emerson Powell. Good day to you guys.
Stoneman.
Yeah. Loretta Clark, really, it's Nana for me. Okay, Nana. And somebody was telling me they're in England. Who was that? Let me see. Go back up here and say they were in England. Oh, Evan Jeffers is in England. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Good to have you on board. That means it's what? 5 o'clock there now? Or about 5 o'clock? 5:30?
Yeah,
Not
1:30, about 5:30.
yeah, about 5:30. I hope you, England, I've never been to England.
No?
Never been to England.
No, you can't miss out such a great thing.
When I speak to my friend Greg Hartman, he loves England.
No, so do I.
Yeah.
No, come on, Kel, you got to go there and get drunk from being in a West Indian pub and have to take a drink with everybody.
I always fear. I would be like Sparrow. I would sneak in the Queen's bedroom. I see what she wears for bed. All right. Okay. So, as usual, we got a bit off target. Not really off target, but I normally will give you the COVID update to keep you abreast of what's happening here with our effort to reach the so-called herd immunity. So as of Wednesday, March 31st, we had a total administered doses of 9,241 persons have gotten the first jab. 9,241 persons would have gotten the first jab. If you break it down, 6,846 were in St. Kitts, and Nevis comes in with 2,395. So we are now 28% of the target.
Mm-hmm. Total population.
Yeah, the total the herd immunity total they're looking at is 33,037. We are now 28% of that, which is 9,241. So we have quite a ways to go. The good news is, there are good and bad news. The good news is that there's still some upward mobility. Trajectory is still upward, but it has plateaued dangerously, and the incremental increase is not sufficient to really get us to where we need to be. By the projected date, mid-June, early July, we will not get there at this rate. Last week, there was a precipitous drop. Over the previous week, we had 4%. The week before, last week, we only had 2.1%. This week, we are back at 3%. So we have a small increase of 0.9% increase over the previous week. It's not going to get us there at this rate. Therefore, I don't know. Well, the good news is that somebody is listening to us. As you recall, we have been saying that the fastest way to get buy-in is to make sure all political parties are at the table, and therefore, when the political leadership speaks, they speak in unison. They're on the same page with the government. So this week, Tuesday, March 30th, the government convened with the leaders of the oppositions, both on St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm not certain who represented the Labour Party on St. Kitts, but I know on Nevis, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge would have represented NRP, and she was most present at that consultation with the COVID-19 task force. And when I looked at the press release, they were talking about, they were trying to explain to them, the political leadership and the opposition. They were trying to explain to them the differences between efficacy and effectiveness, and the implications for not getting to herd immunity, things that they should have done even before the first person was vaccinated. And as I say, better late than never. But it's a bit late, and in my view, it is still short-sighted in the way they did it. Now, here it is. Myself, Hensley, Carlisle, we are on the 2 shows twice a week. We are both, Hensley, the chairman of the NRP. I'm the former leader of the NRP, for a brief period, of course. And Carlisle, a past parliamentarian senator, and also on the radio here, very effective communicator. Yet, we weren't invited to be a part of this consultation. So they're giving on one hand, but pulling back the same hand. It doesn't make any sense. No, what then will be Janice's role, Dr. Hodges' role? She is now to communicate with myself or Carlisle or come on the show, or is she going to communicate through a press release through Hensley Daniel, the chairman? It makes absolutely no sense. The more persons you get involved in communicating what needs to be communicated, the better the communication. There's no vacuum, there's no misinformation, there's no misinterpretation. So I would have thought that members opposite of the government, as many can fit into the room that protocol allows, fit them in, get everybody involved. But when you start taking a singular approach, or we're only going to invite the party leader, this is nonsense. Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I don't know if you have any opinion on that, Hensley.
No, listen. We have done collectively. We have done a good job in keeping COVID at bay. The next step. So what we need to do is to carry everybody together. I mean, those are basic principles, are basic approaches to running government. That especially in a pandemic, what you do, you bring all the parties together, political and everything else. Political parties, community organizations, the private sector, you bring them together, fellas, this is what it is, and you let the scientists, who would be the doctors, let the doctors talk to the people. Because, you see, I like to defer to the scientists on this matter. So, as I said, we have taken a proactive approach in ensuring that we don't spread COVID. Good. We are going now to vaccination. Let the doctors tell us about the vaccine, and let us transfer that information to our various groups. But very importantly, this is not about Palm and Labour and NRP and CCM. It is not. Too late for that. It is not. It is about saving the lives of the people of the country and ensuring that we could return to normal as quickly as possible, ensuring that we could achieve what you call herd immunity. But here is the issue. There is so much lack of achievement in the political parties and with politicians that if they bite off 2 mango, they say it on the Facebook that I eat 2 mango. What are them cooking and showing off clothes and so on? The problem is, people have an obsession with achieving. If you know your levels of competence and you know what you can achieve, you don't have to be jumping in front of the doctors, What I'm saying is we should have had we need to have everybody on board. And we need to have the doctors leading the effort. Let the doctors and the nurses say to people, these are the things.
But it is crazy, though, that the government appears to me, both on St. Kitts and Nevis, they claim not to be politicizing this issue of COVID. But every single time, they're being caught out trying to sanitize and keep back information from the public. The difficulty and the challenge you have with that approach is this. everybody has a smart device. So access to information on the World Wide Web is not an issue. When you hear conversations out there on the World Wide Web about efficacy and effectiveness, when you hear about challenges with the AstraZeneca, which is the vaccine we are using, it leads to a vacuum, information vacuum, when the government here is not being truthful or efficacious or fully disclosing what the science is saying. When people are picking up on misinformation or malinformation, and the government here is trying to micromanage what is put out into the public, people are weighing what the government is putting out versus what they're seeing on the World Wide Web, and they're making a decision as to why or should they take the vaccine. Now, here's the difficulty. You are the government now. You're trying to convince people to take the vaccine. People are on the web reading of challenges about the vaccine. So right now, this hesitancy we are seeing in the numbers is real. This is a real level of hesitancy. People are saying, listen, I want to watch and wait. I want to see what's going on, because I'm reading something out there. I'm not hearing it from here. So what am I to do? That is a problem. That is a challenge the government has to overcome. And that is why people like me, people like you, people like Carlisle, and other persons and thinkers in the popular press or the social media have to be a part of the process. You simply cannot try to micromanage who gets the information.
No, but that's here this scale. You just as you have a pandemic, a pandemic with regards to the infection of the virus, you also have, and we are living in an age of information, of disinformation, and so it is very important for us to come out in the open early and stake out these are the positions, so that the people of the country don't have to look to, I mean, you could look to so many other things which are not which are not good. But here it is. We have to seize the opportunity. These are our people. And that's why I make the point. It's not about permanent labor and so on. So, for instance, if we are in politics, but we also want the country to return to normal, not so?
Well, that is it.
We want the country, we're in the opposition, but we want the country to return to normal. We want the people to be vaccinated, and we want people to continue to exercise caution. Those are the things which are common to all of us. So let the scientists lead, but at the same time, nothing is wrong with calling us to a meeting every now and then, once a quarter, and brief us.
I would have loved to have been there at the consultation, because there are some questions I need answered, and these are questions that if I could ask, then I can also share the answers with the general public. This is what we do here. We try to educate people, get them assured, remove the anxiety and dispel the misinformation.
Like, for instance, people are saying, oh well, it's that you came up with a vaccine very quickly. But of course, Kel, this is not 1960. But you have an advance of science and technology, and the biotechnology industry is great. And the fact that the assumption is that you have to wait 5 years to get a medicine. No. I'm just saying that is one thing has people down. But what has to be said to them is, look, we have the scientists. You have far more research being done now.
But it goes back. Let me correct you a little bit. Research on vaccines is decades old.
That's what I'm saying.
The development of vaccines. And so when people say, oh, it's been very quick, develop this one here, you are building on a database.
Yes.
On a systems technology that has been perfected over time. It's just that you didn't come in and start from scratch.
And they have also been researching coronaviruses for a number of years.
COVID-19 just one of many types.
Right. And so the idea that, so I'm saying, even this very basic philosophy, this basic idea, that people think, boy, this thing look early, just pull it out of a bag. So, no, people have been researching and doing clinical trials on a number of vaccines over the years.
But this is a conversation
that we have to have with the
that
citizens.
they should have had a long time.
But you know what?
The misinformation has been out there even before the vaccines were even approved.
Yeah.
You understand? And so it was incumbent on the task force to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and look at the people who are developing the vaccine skill. It is the same pharmaceutical companies which have all the drugs in our drugstore. So it's Johnson and Johnson, is Pfizer. I mean, those are companies which have long history of developing medicines. So basic things like those, you say to people. For instance, when we went to school, every now and then you have to march over by the Gingerland Health Center, and you get some kind of vaccination against polio, against measles, mumps, and rubella. So that's the other point. You have to say to people, even if you don't realize it, your body has a set of vaccines in there already, which prevent you from contracting some of those very virulent strains of diseases.
That's a good point to jump off on.
Yeah.
Let me say good afternoon to a few persons who have joined the conversation. I see Judy Cornelius Webb from Judy Cornelius Webb Estate up there.
She had birthday the other day.
She had big birthday. I see about 1,000 pictures.
Yeah, but they have leftover. She has leftover cakes or something.
I don't know what she got left over, but she looked like a handful to me. Delicious. Judy, forgive me. I didn't mean to say that on national radio. That you look delicious. Wow. Anyway, you'll forgive me. She's a nice Christian woman. Let me see. Talking about herd immunity. Now, herd immunity, I keep harping on this because it's very important people understand. Now, herd immunity is something that, is very dependent. And I've always questioned as to why the NIA and the SKN, I should say, chose a herd immunity of 70% as a target. 70%. Herd immunity is variable. Depending on the disease you're fighting, the herd immunity percentage may increase or decrease depending on how infectious the disease is. So something like polio. The herd immunity that would prevent the transmission of polio is 80%. Measles is 95%.
Yes.
Right? So depending on the disease, the herd immunity percentage changes. No scientist can tell you at this point in time what the herd immunity for COVID is. If they told you, they're lying. The data is not there to support one way or the next. So what governments have done is try to pick a number that should represent
more than two-thirds. More than two-thirds of the population, right? Is
here
covered.
We have chosen 70%.
Yes.
I know in England they're looking at 80-85%, and in Britain, America the same thing, right?
But isn't it also linked to the level of infection, the rate of infection? If you have
the transmission.
Yeah, if you have a high rate of transmission and infection,
of course, then
you would require like 95.
A higher rate.
Okay.
All right, and the danger of this is, of course, the danger of setting this target. The government must not hold to this blanket 70%. You can't do that. Because it's a 70% herd immunity is a moving target. You cannot, because the new variants that are coming out now from Brazil and America, South Africa, highly transmissible, highly virulent. If you now stick to the 70%, you are going to be in a world of hurt, because the rate of transmission that you'll get from these new variants, this 70% herd immunity will not prevent them from spreading.
Yeah, but I think you mentioned the governments. I have been reading and listening to the scientists, and I believe the scientists are the ones who would calm people's fears by the doctors, the nurses, and they themselves giving the kind of information that is necessary. For instance, I don't expect a They're now saying that in Michigan there's a huge surge. I don't expect the governor there to say that it 50 or 60% would be good. She has to be talking of a higher level. But I want what I want, Kelly, is this. I want these scientists to lead the effort.
Scientists where?
Everywhere. Ours are here. Our doctors are the scientists. We are depending on them. And they are supposed to inform themselves. But I noticed something that is happening with professional people around the world, you know. Dr. Deborah Burks is saying that while she was in the Trump administration...
She was lying.
But okay.
She was lying.
Okay.
But here...
No. Here it is. She stood there and watched hundreds and thousands of her fellow citizens collapse and die, and then afterwards says that they could have been avoided. So all I'm saying to the scientists...
No, you see, let me stop you, Hensley. Let me stop you, because this is very close to my heart. No. When the government handpicks, this government here handpicks the messengers of who should relate the messages. No. They're not doing it because they trust the science. What they're doing, they're sanitizing the message. No. Because those doctors they're picking to put the message out, they're not being truthful. Let us face the fact. Yeah, they are not being truthful. Well, no. And just like this Burks woman, she was in there, in the inner sanctum with Donald Trump, spewing out lie after lie, and then come after the fact and say, listen, we know we were lying, but 100,000, 200,000 persons died, and we must look at, oh, good, you came out.
No.
And she is a scientist.
No,
she's a doctor. So don't come and tell me rely on doctors to tell you the truth.
No.
The government here is handpicking who they want to dispense the information.
No.
That's the difficulty.
No. Hear what I'm saying. And I made a point at the beginning that professional people have to decide whether they are going to they are going to side with their profession, or they are going to serve politicians. And that while I am saying I want to hear from the scientists, I am saying it as a rider to that. The scientists must tell us the truth. And if they are not telling us the truth, they must move out of the way. If you know, for instance...
Are you a preacher?
No.
Because you sound like you're preaching.
No. I'm telling you what is supposed to happen.
These guys, the track record is here. The track record is here.
This is a democratic society.
The government of St. Kitts and Nevis have not been telling the truth. They've not been telling the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to the population. That is why you're having this plateauing of persons buying into this vaccination program, simply because they're hearing information out there that is different to what the government is saying.
Yeah, well, in the beginning I said, Kel, I want to warn the scientists who have a responsibility. They must decide where they are going to put their eggs. Are they going to put them like Deborah Burks, put them along with Trump and allow people to die? Or they are going to stand up and say, look, this is what is supposed to happen. This is what we are doing. This is the correct thing. In the end, Kel, there are some scientists that people trust. I think the American people trust Dr. Fauci.
Last week I said we need a Dr. Fauci. Last week I said it on this very show. We need a Dr. Fauci here. Somebody going to tell you the unvarnished truth. Somebody going to tell you how it is. You know? We don't have one here.
But he has worked with 6 presidents, and he has been there for 40 years. The point I'm trying to make is, why can't you have a Fauci? Is truth is the simple thing? Listen, okay, if you tell the truth, you lose your work.
Let me tell you something, right? There's government here of St. Kitts and Nevis when it comes to truth. It doesn't, it leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves a lot to be desired. And I've listened to this COVID task force for a long time. They say one thing today, tomorrow is something else. They need to be out front. The question.
Who are the independent doctors, Kel, speaking to the issue? Do we have that?
We have Dr. Martin, who has his own program on Friday. I listen to him religiously. He speaks on the science of the matter. Where it ends, it ends. It's for you now to decide. Okay. Put everything out there. Let the people see the raw information, the raw data. Don't sugarcoat anything. Don't try to be hyperbolic and say, by June, end of July, we are going to be out of this. It ain't going to happen like that. It will not happen like that. All right?
No.
No, the situation now is this. It is still unclear. This is what I want to, if I was invited to this task force, COVID-19 task force consultation they had on Tuesday, I would ask Dr. Laws or whoever else was there presenting, what is the data regarding the vaccine, or the transmissibility of the virus even after you've gotten the first shot? People need to know, are you still able to prevent transmission? Which is a key. This is key to herd immunity, the 70% figure. Is this vaccine that we are taking, is it able to prevent transmission? There's no data to support that. People must be able to get this information from their government, from their COVID task force. They must be able to get it, because they're hearing it out there. There's no data to support the fact that it may not slow transmission. It prevents you from getting hospitalized, have all the bad symptoms, but it may not prevent you from transmitting. Why is it the task force has not taken on that question? Maybe they have, but I haven't heard it.
But you see, okay, I was the Minister of Healthcare, and I was there during chikungunya and Zika and all those things. I think the health promotion unit, I haven't heard them much in this matter, which is the health promotion unit is the outreach arm of the government. Relay the information to the health information unit. Let them speak, because there are professional people in there who understand health issues. All I'm saying is, I don't want the information to get what do you call the word now? Mix up or concocted with politics and the science.
Well, let me ask a question. How long has the task force been in place?
Over a year, I'm sure.
Over a year.
Yeah.
Over a year.
But that's what I'm saying, that element where the outreach, the people trust the average citizen trust the health promotion unit, because that's the one that is out there with them all the time talking about all the other things. So give them that information.
But let me ask you this.
I want to hear from them.
Well, let me ask you this. You said people out there trust the health promotion unit. People out there trust the COVID task force.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because I would like an explanation as to why the rate of rise of vaccination has slowed so much. Why the resistance?
Yeah,
why can you give an idea why the resistance?
Well, I think it has everything to do with what we are saying. There were contending arguments on for and against vaccination, and by the failure to present the unvarnished information to the public.
But yet you still trust them?
No. I'm saying that the people have made that decision.
But you're saying
the task force has done a good job in making sure that we are COVID free and so on. But this is the next level now. The vaccination is the next level.
But you're confusing me a bit, because you said that we should trust the doctors to put the unvarnished truth out. And that's one thing you're saying. And then the next thing you're saying is that the plateau that we're seeing, or the deceleration we're seeing, is because enough information is not out there. So which is it?
It's both.
It's both.
We have not given the scientists enough information.
We have not given the scientists enough information.
Or the scientists don't have enough information, or the scientists have decided not to speak to us on the information. Which is it? Do they have the information? Have they decided not to speak?
They can't have the information. They're making you believe that they have the information, and they don't.
Why don't they have the information?
Because the data has not come to fruition yet.
Exactly.
Right? And this is the kind of honest talk that the government's agents need to have with the population, because the information is out there. People are out there talking about the situation. And that is the reason this vacuum of information, or this misinformation, or this, kind of massaging information is what causing uncertainty in people. It's causing uncertainty. And when you have uncertainty, people decide, let me pull back. I prefer to err on the side of caution than to put myself out there, get jabbed, and nobody can tell me all these issues I have been clarified. Just saying get jabbed because we want to have carnival or cultural armor. I mean, absurd. It is absurd. You're asking persons to put a foreign body into their system. We don't explain to them, listen, we don't have the data to support all the questions you're asking because we simply don't have it. We are going on the best science we have, best guess estimate, right, as to what the outcome will be. Okay. Just like the flu vaccine. Every year, the flu comes around, you get a flu vaccine. You get a flu shot. Next year, you have to take another shot because...
Right. But what I'm saying is, girl, here is it. You know, it always bothers me as if when we live in St. Kitts and Nevis, we are in some place separate and removed from the rest of the world. Where are the countries that have used the vaccine? And what is it? What is the result of them? What percentage of the people are being vaccinated in other countries? What I'm saying is, are we hearing we have AstraZeneca, the AstraZeneca vaccine. Where it has been used, what has been the effect, what are some of the things we need to look out for? Is it that it has, what they call that now? They say it was causing cramps. Blood clots, yes. Okay, but the by and large, the communities which have used it heavily have shown what? You know, that is the kind of information you could, it's like saying, Kel, a man brings medication for headache. And the natural response is, boy, I don't trust this headache thing. I don't trust this new medicine. Then you could say to him, however, the communities similar to yours or other communities, A, B, C, D, E, give the man a set of examples to allay his fears about taking the vaccine. But the
difficulty with that scenario is that the vaccines have not been around long enough to gather kind of data to put people's minds at rest.
No, what I'm saying, the people who have taken them over the last months. What has happened?
But the thing is, you know, you're gonna find, you may find some short-term effects, but you can only measure, number one, how do you need a booster sometime down the road? How long does the antibody response last? We don't know those things because we have not been using the vaccine that long period to get the data. But I would like to...
So what then do we do?
But then the thing is this. If you're going to be honest with the people, this is the honest conversation. This is the honest conversation. None of the vaccines so far developed are 100% proof.
No.
Not a single one.
No.
That knowledge will affect how you calculate herd immunity. All right? You don't know if you need a booster somewhere on the line. That calculation affects herd immunity.
Yeah.
A lot of things that we are taking for granted, that herd immunity is a static, non-moving number, all those things here are misinformation. Misinformation. And there are missed opportunities to tell the people, listen, if we want to make sure there's no transmission, every single person who can take the vaccine must take the vaccine. And we ain't talking about the 33,000 or the 70%. We're talking about the 41,000 and change who 18 to 85, I believe, who can now qualify for that. That is a conversation we need to be having rather than this surreptitious 70%, this manufactured 70%. It is crazy for the government to be holding steady to that as some sort of panacea for this pandemic. It will not work.
Yeah.
It will not work.
But okay, we have some communities like I think in Scotland and some other places where even in New Zealand and so on, in Taiwan, different communities that have managed this thing where the virus was out of control. All I'm saying is the conversation the point you just made about, look, we have to all assume that we want to get back to normal. So we are going to expose the entire population to the vaccine. Mm-hmm. And if we do, you have to get, then a man says to you, and then what happens after? You may have, just as you say, you may have to have another boost. All I'm saying is, Why is it assumed that this is such a difficult conversation to have here? Why is it assumed? This is not a difficult conversation because everybody wants, people are working in the tourism industry want to go back to work. People are working in different sectors want to go back to work. So you say, look, avail yourself of the opportunity to get the vaccine. And then secondly, you say, look, nothing is perfect. So, you know, you may have to have a second boost. Then we are looking at the information. We are doing reviews on the information daily. Kel. You want to look at what's happening with the people over 60.
Would you support a mandatory vaccination program?
No, mandatory goes against people's. The best thing to do with people is moral suasion. Get them out.
If that doesn't work.
It can work.
No, not if it can. If it doesn't work, then what?
Yeah, but you don't know. You try it first.
Oh Lord, man!
If it doesn't work,
don't be politician today.
Ask
you a simple question.
If it doesn't work, then you will have, just like we did when we were going to school. We didn't have any option with measles, mumps, and rubella. You know, mandatory in an effort to save the country. It would be mandatory.
That is the question that everybody is asking. You know, what if you don't get to 70% in a reasonable time? Are you going to force persons to take it?
Well, when you force people to take it, you'll have to have some other information on it. That okay, it's effective, it's good.
No, you don't have to give them that. You're forcing them to take it, regardless of good or bad. Or how is he going to get to the country to open? If the opening the country is the objective to get people back to work, and the same people who need to get back to work are saying they ain't taking it.
Yeah, well,
then what?
Mandatory. Because you see,
I mean, these are pick some questions.
Yeah, what is happening
that the government need to answer?
No, but the other point which has to be made is that it looks to me as if it is nearing the point where if you're not vaccinated, you're going to not be able to be in certain social situations. You're certainly not going to be able to travel by aircraft very soon.
So it's mandatory by default?
By default. So it looks to me as if you want to go and visit your family in New York. Before you get onto American Airlines, you have to show your vaccination certificate. Mario Cuomo has said that he's instituting vaccination certificates for New York. If you want to go there, you have to show that you have one. So this is going to, that is another point you have to say to the citizens. Boy, this thing is going to reach to the point where you got to force you to take it because you're not going to be able to attend, so you're not going to be able to be in certain situations. B, you're not going to be able to travel. And C, in terms of employment. And D, in terms of your practice. I mean, if you are a nurse or a doctor and you're not vaccinated, you may not be able to work here because we are dealing with people every day and we don't want to transmit.
Do you foresee this matter ending up in court for people saying you're trespassing on my rights? To be vaccinated or not to be vaccinated?
Well,
do you see that? Do you foresee a court
I
case
suppose one or two people will make that. Some people will go that route.
And if the court rules in their favor, and everybody says, "Oh God, the court there's a precedent," then how do you get back to normal, as you put it?
Well, that is the.
I feel like I'm interviewing you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, if you go to the point where people say, look, they were infringing on my personal rights, so I decided I want to go to the court to protect me. I believe, well, I don't know what to believe in about the court, but I don't make any predictions about these courts. But courts normally follow what the government do, what the governments do. So if the government wants people to take the vaccine, the court is just an arm of the government, you know.
So you foresee a bill being introduced into Parliament and making it mandatory, just like they went to Parliament to approve the curfew and all this state of emergency. Can this be put under a state of emergency banner and say, listen, as one of the regulations of the COVID, this law that passed, emergency powers, that you have to be vaccinated, especially if you work in the government service?
Well, before you go when you go to pass in any legislation, that has to be well researched. So you have to come good to tell people that it's mandatory. Is the law you're going to pass in, and that's hard to change after? You're going to make it law? Mark, I believe, Kel, I believe that if you reach 75-80%, you can reach 75-80% with moral persuasion and good information. And you can apologize to people.
I could see why you did social service for such a long time.
No.
You really have faith in humanity.
Yeah, I can't lose. Because I tell you why.
How come you weren't invited to the committee task force?
No, I'm a politician. No, hear what happens, Ken. I believe, right? I really do believe that that you can. And if you say to the people, look, we apologize that we have not done certain things, but we have added these two people who will lead the effort. And these are two respected people in the community, 2 or 3 others. And so whatever our shortcomings have been, we say to you that we are interested in making sure we can reopen St. Kitts and Nevis. This is not all about politics, it's about the citizens. And so we have brought 3 persons here who are not in the political arena. And one is a scientist, another one is a marketing person, and another one is in public health, right? And you give them the responsibility to sell the idea to the people.
So you're saying to outsource
No, the government has people they should be able to find. Well, if they can't find, they outsource. But I believe, Kel, my experience is that being on the road in social work, there is woeful ignorance of things. Woeful. And I believe that is informing. That is why we have a challenge, Kel. You have to force the people. You have to put the information out there. You make the point about it being unvarnished. So I really do believe people are reasonable, but people are right by not to trust information. You can't give good information to people who they don't trust, Otherwise, it's a problem. And I believe we shouldn't lose the opportunity. I don't know that we have lost the opportunity yet, but I believe that the people to carry the message, the scientists, but they must be honest people and tell you when it falls down. Kel, in this society, it look like people afraid to make a mistake, and you're letting the perfect get in the way of the good. So, we're not perfect. The politicians could say that, the ministers can say that. Why the perfect? What get them perfect?
Why? I expected, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would have thought with this COVID rollout, I keep saying it, enough buying was not there. Church members, church leaders,
exactly,
all those persons were in the present. But that's what.
But let's go to the vaccination now. Get them on board. Say to them that the government did not do it. The government was wrong not to do it. Say it.
In Israel, Israel is the most vaccinated country now. Over 50% of the population have been vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
They're reaching to a resistance among the young people. What Israel has done to try to overcome that resistance among the young, they have offered free beer and free pizza. No joke. The Ministry of Health in Israel, the land of Jesus and Moses and all those good things, have decided to get the young people on board. They're going to offer free beer and free pizza.
So for what?
To get vaccinated. Incentivizing. Now that's one level of incentivizing. Last week we spoke about incentivizing, and we would have said, the difficulty people were having on Nevis to paying their bills. You come in to pay an evict bill, you take off 20%, you get vaccinated. You're right on the spot. You go pay a water bill, people are crying out the water rate has gone up and they can't pay the bill this month. Listen, come by the water department, we got a special fare, come today, come tomorrow, you get a discount on your water rate, you get a little incentive. Imaginative. So it's up to the imagination or the vision of the government to decide what level of incentivizing is sufficient. Given the fact that the fallout, if you do not get to 70%, the minimum, if you don't get there, you're going to have a difficulty because your borders remain closed, essentially. Another difficulty facing us in terms of this COVID is that not all the countries in the region are at the same stage.
No.
I mean, some countries are way down the line. We are 28%, Antigua's a little ahead of us, Tortola a little ahead of us, but you have Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, they're still down the line. So unless you have almost a parity across the region, there's always this trepidation that, you know, people are going to bring in the infection because you're not progressing to herd immunity as quickly as the others. Like in Israel, Israel is 50%. Right next door in Egypt and in Jordan, it's below 1%. So you have to look at not only your own position, but the position relative to other countries that send you tourists or send you workers to make sure that we are in the same ballpark of preventing transmission.
Kel, when the pandemic started, they used the South African model as a means of reaching the people in the communities. That they had done, the health workers had done a marvelous job in getting to conscientize people about AIDS and making people take the necessary actions. I am going to ask this question. I'm not to be, this is a rhetorical question. When election campaigns are on, do you not see groups of politicians and people going all over in every nook and cranny to look for the vote?
Very much so.
Well, what is so wrong then?
We're going the same way.
Going the same route with a leaflet in your hand to say, these are the points about the vaccine, these are the points about COVID. It has not been done. And I don't even know. A friend of mine from Jamaica, I tell her I'm going in the country, into Brick Hill. She said, what you talk about? I said, country. She said, look, what country? You and I just drive over there. It's 15, 20 minutes to take. In Jamaica, you have to drive for 45 minutes to say you reach country. So the point I'm trying to make, it cannot be hard for us to reach everybody in terms of the information. I find that that's an opportunity that was missed. When the thing comes out, drop it by everybody do it, because all of the politicians know where all the people are. Election time we find them. Well, we want to find them now to protect them from a virus, and we want to find them to get the buy-in about a vaccine. So get the information and let the politicians can do it, can help, because it's their voters they are. But of course, as I mentioned, you have the health promotion unit, which can help do the outreach and help to allay the fears and let people listen to them. But certainly, it's inexcusable that people in a small place like St. Kitts and Nevis can't get it done. I mean, that's not acceptable.
And I agree with the point. I mean, when I was campaigning in St. Paul's, there's some places that, you know, and some homes that I have never knew existed.
Exactly.
And especially in St. John's. And like you indicated, Hensley, if the politicians that are in government, especially in government, they would have gone spending months on the campaign trail, you know, convincing persons that they deserve a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance. Why not convince them they need a first chance on their own lives?
Exactly.
And so I take your point that the government of this NIA CCM government, along with those in the opposition, Dr. John Hodge over there in St. James, Dr. Patricia Bartlett, in candidate in St. Paul, in St. John's, and J.D. Keynes in St. Paul's, and of course Robert Cleon Stapleton in St. Thomas's. If again these persons were brought on board,
yes,
to spread the truth. When they go house to house, they can kill two birds with one stone.
Of course.
You understand? Even tag along. I mean, there is no persons in health promotion unit to come along if answers needed to be had and persons are resistant, then the health promotion unit would have the opportunity to explain to them what are the circumstances and the ramifications.
This is a small place.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying, Kel, is that here we are. You know the impact that would have? The ministers have left their offices and they have come, as you say, to make sure that you can make a rational decision on your own life. But we are leaving the information up, and then the same people are supposed to come to vote. But when election time comes, the same politicians find them where they live. And I'm saying find them where they live now with good information, and let your team at the Ministry of Health, the outreach unit, help. Because imagine, we have never even had it. Imagine, Kel, what an impact this would have. Members of the opposition and members of government are both carrying the same message. I mean, what's so easy?
That's a utopian.
No,
it's a utopian.
It's as practical and as simple.
Utopian has nothing to do with practical. Utopian means it's the most ideal, right? But you see this government here. Anyway, let's move on. Let me say good afternoon to your good friend Iron Door over there in Bath.
Oh, muchacha, ¿cómo está? I gotta change. I gotta add another Spanish expression next time she comes. I think she knows I wanted to.
Well, you got to take it easy, you know. Remember, she may live among Spanish over there in Bath, but
yeah, that's true. She mix up.
Over
she
there.
mix in. Maybe, and you know, Kel, the hairstyle varies, you know.
Leave Iron alone, all right? She is as young as she feels.
You gotta tell Adele that she got to stay tuned and step up, because I don't you don't want people to say to Iona, oh man, I might take you for Adele.
I see Adele celebrated our anniversary. I would have sent her greetings.
Yes.
She and her husband, you know, quite a good guy. And I looked at the before and after pictures. I saw the gentleman when they first got married about 4 years ago. It's about 3 years or 4 years, something like that. And he was looking a little different than he looks now. I find that he's looking more like Adele.
But yeah, you don't know what they say. You don't know what they say, girl. Those who assemble resemble.
I looked at the picture, right? And I say, wait a minute, this guy is morphing.
Yeah, but it does.
He's evolving to look like his wife.
But it's just that he started
I'm glad she didn't evolve to look like him.
No, no, but it happens. It's just that the impact of Adele has been so great that he's happened so quick.
Well, he married a queen, so
you know, it takes a little longer, like a 10 years or so, for a man for them to look alike. So you give Adele some marks.
Well, I read a story that, you know, if you have a pet, especially a bulldog, for some reason, you start morphing to looking like the pet.
Really?
So I didn't want to have a bulldog in my yard for the same reason. So I went and tried to get some bull mastiff, you know, but the morphing is not happening.
It's not happening.
And so, but I've seen pictures where people start either the pets that look like them, or they start to change and look like the pets.
Wow.
Anyway, the COVID issue, I mean, it continues.
My basic position on that, let us strengthen the outreach. Let us reach people more.
Yeah,
the
point has been made. A very good point. I just hope anybody listening, that can see now why person like myself and Hensley and Carlisle should have been invited to be a part of this consultation they had on Tuesday, because these ideas could have been really brought to the fore quickly.
Yeah.
Loretta Clark, really? I say I think about the honorable premier. May I say it look like a dog? Oh, Jesus. Loretta, you're getting older, you know, girl. You need to calm down. Goodness. Anyhow, I just say this there. Anyhow, it is what it is. I was going to say something and I forget. Oh, one other thing. I would have heard by and by that given the delay in the first tranche of the 21,000 additional vaccines that's supposed to come from through the COVAX facility, that there has been a substantial delay. They was to come the end of March. They have yet to come. And so I'm hearing, I can't verify, I tried to verify before the program, that the government has decided, in the absence of this arrival, which is late, they will hold back on the 10,000 of the vaccines to make sure those persons who are vaccinated
can get the second
get the second jab. without difficulty. Because that was a big concern. If I take the first jab and 10 weeks pass, I don't get the second jab, then what happens? So I think the government is right in that decision, if it's indeed a decision, to hold back on continuing to vaccinate past 10,000, and then you don't have anything to follow up with.
Yes, it's
so until the first tranche of the 21,000, I think they're supposed to get something like 7,000 or something like that. Until that lands on St. Kitts, I will agree with them. Hold back on that continuing to vaccinate, because you don't know what's going to happen. The worldwide supply of AstraZeneca, which is manufactured under license in India, has dried up because the Indians have decided to hold on to millions, hundreds of millions of doses, because their incidence of infection has gone through the roof. And so they're saying, to hell with the rest of you. We are looking for our own local people first.
But Kel, you know how much medicine they have to hold up there. India has over 1 billion people.
Yeah.
So if they are making that 1 billion people a priority,
I can't blame them, brother.
No, but we have that is why you see when we get the chance, small countries don't have. There's a very little room to maneuver. That is why we wanted. I'm speaking about getting everybody ready. So by the time they're not ready to hold back, at least we have had a far greater level of vaccination.
I agree. I agree.
So we just, it bothers me about these things about governments. These are elementary things. I don't know that we are thinking. It's not enough to think it up, Kel. You have to think it through, because when you're the minister, you think it through. You share it with your permanent secretaries.
But here's a bigger question for you. I regard you as a regionalist, internationalist.
Yeah,
here we go. Cuba is developing 1 or 2 or 3 vaccines independently of the whole world.
Yes.
They're doing their own thing. UE has not done any work at all because they don't have the capacity.
No.
They never really moved into vaccine production. And a conversation with my good friend on St. Kitts spoke to developing capacity within the sub-region for these eventualities, because COVID is only one eventuality of many to come.
Oh, no, there's several
So
more.
how do we now prepare for the eventuality of a second pandemic? Maybe not be COVID related, it may be something else. But clearly, this is a wake-up call for the region, the entire region, Caribbean Basin, and Latin America, to start looking internally and say, listen, we can't go here again.
No.
So it's now incumbent on governments. And this is where CARICOM could have been so more effective in delivering this special vehicle through which financing can be obtained to develop capacity for vaccine production, for not only the vaccines, but mitigating against disasters, global warming. Where is our internal capacity? When are we going to grow up to the point where we are now more self-reliant, self-help? We got Trinidad with UE campus, Barbados with UE campus, Jamaica with UE campus. We got a sub-campus in Antigua now. But where is the research capacity that says to the region, we now understand what this pandemic is all about, and we have to position ourselves to deal with it effectively? Because if we keep looking to India, look what India has done.
But there's too many people to bother with us, guys.
Exactly.
It's simple. They can't bother with us.
We must.
The Americans, look, Dr. Tedros, who is at the World Health, who is head of the World Health Organization, is virtually in tears. He's saying that these vaccines that have come have led to an increase in inequality in the society, because who has the vaccine? The United States has the vaccine. They are vaccinating their people first. Britain has the vaccine. They vaccinate their people first. So the people in the rural communities of the developing countries are left behind. So here is what I propose. Here is what I think we ought to do. And we began while we were in government. Cuba is up the road from us. They are the leader in tropical medicine, one of the leaders in tropical medicine.
In the world.
In the world. So get with the Cubans. And look what the Cubans do. When the Ebola virus broke out, all the doctors were running. It is Cuba who sent their doctors to Africa to take it on. So Cuba specializes in public health and preventive health. And of course they have the research. The biotech center in Cuba is financed by Canada. Not totally, but they put heavy money into it in Germany and Canada. And the biotech center is a remarkable thing. I just think we have got so insular to the point where we are just everybody put on a pot. Everybody put on a pot instead of one pot.
I must disagree a little bit with the insular part. I agree to the point that we have become insular because everything is political, local, everything is local politics. But the geopolitics.
Oh, that
geopolitics.
No, we're not going to be
where
able.
We as a country, as a region, have been led down the garden path by America, by Britain, especially. Especially America, to make us disown Cuba, to step away from Cuba. I'm saying that insularity from Cuba, that Caribbean governments.
Ostracism. It's ostracism.
We have been forced. We have been forced to toe the American line on the embargo on Cuba, the difficulty the Cubans are facing. But yet, in a crisis, who stands up for us?
Cuba.
The same Cuba. But, my goodness.
But look at it. Hear how Cuba is remarkable. Cuba's comparative advantage is in the production of medical personnel across the world. When the same virus broke out, the Italian Giuseppe Conte was the prime minister. He didn't want any immigrants. He came to power in Italy on a strong anti-immigrant platform. When the coronavirus broke out, the Cubans must be they sent them 67 doctors, 60 of them black ones. Let them send them back now. They don't want black people. They don't want no immigrants from the third world and so on. But the Cubans send them 60-something medical professionals, and all over the world, Cuba now trains doctors that if you're in Nevis. I tell this story all the time, Kel. I went to Cuba to look for an anesthesiologist. When I went, I was number 72 in the line.
Looking for an
So how am I going to get one? Tell me. Because I have 14,000 people. Fellows in Africa with millions of people looking for anesthesiologists. How I am going to negotiate? The point is, we have allowed this foolishness about communism and so on to cloud our judgment as to what's happening in Cuba. And I'm not saying they're not communists. What I'm saying is
China is communist.
China is the worst thing.
Who is the biggest exporter of goods and services? Not
exactly.
China?
But China has.
So it's convenient.
No, what we have to understand, China had most favored nation status with America, a communist country.
And Cuba, 90 miles away, is a pariah.
It's a pariah.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
My thing would be the UWI, the universities in Cuba, and the governments get together urgently, and they will be supported by PAHO and WHO because they would understand the importance of. They need to do three things quickly, Kel. One, they need to address the whole question of the pharmaceutical industry. It is too high, it costs too much money for medication, and they can be produced at levels where they can afford. Secondly, we need to identify our scholars for the research and pump some money into research. So while we have a pandemic, let us look at what might affect us. Let us see how we could develop something to deal with our chronic diseases. And thirdly, let us begin to share the information, man. So we have information in Jamaica, which has a good university hospital, the QEH in Barbados, Trinidad, Cuba. Share the information so that you are dealing with diabetics of young children in Nevis, for instance. You don't have to behave as if this is the first time it happened. Get onto your website, get onto your lines, see what the information is saying. I find there is too much ignorance in reading the wrong things. The internet is not to post pornography and so on only. The internet is not to post your dumpling and your potato and your socks and your shoe and your cooking. The internet is supposed to be there to help us to make better decisions. And I believe, Kel, that this region here in the Caribbean has some of the best scholars in all the areas. Bear in mind, and this is what I think the UE need to step up. In 1948, when the university started, medicine was the first school, Can you imagine? Medicine was the first school. So if you start a university with medicine as the first school in 1948, that's what, 52 and 21, 73 years ago, you should be now the leader in tropical medicine.
Which they are.
Oh, all right. And I'm saying, I don't know.
But can you imagine the strides that Cuba could make if the U.S. administration was to do the right thing? People keep talking about doing the right thing. That is the right thing to do. Settle that matter. Get the region back on its feet. Let Cuba be the center of excellence for the production of pharmaceuticals, healthcare services, whatever it is, for the region. That way people don't have to be selling the house and mortgaging their lives for healthcare, traveling to the United States and all that.
You're right. Go to Cuba.
Go to Cuba.
Well, we took them there.
Let us, and when you say best practices, and politicians should do the right thing, I'm always leery about that because politicians don't typically do the right thing at all. They do what's in their political interest. And if it happens to be the right thing, fine. But politicians are a different,
species. Politicians are a different species. They believe, they get the chance to get the people to believe that they are different species.
Okay.
We're all human beings.
Now, we are in a race against time, of course, with this COVID issue, a race against time. Because, like I said earlier, we don't know, and the science can't tell you for sure, whether the emergence of these new variants of the COVID will be responding to the vaccines. We don't know.
But Cuba is developing something, right?
So far, so good in terms of the South African variant and the Brazilian variant. They seem to be susceptible to the vaccines that are presently. We don't know if there's an emergence of new variants. How would that affect this rate of transmission we are seeing? Now, if you have new variants that come into the play, because we have delayed getting to herd immunity, this number, which everybody is talking about, if there's any delay getting there, it gives the virus a larger window to develop resistance or to develop a variant that will not respond to the vaccine. That is the timeline we're under, the pressure we are under. And so every proposal that we have said here today, the involvement of the politicians on the campaign trail, the involvement of radio personalities in the Federation of Singers and Nevis to be a part of the information transmission, every single person must be out there with one single message. We need to get to a position where we can safely say 80%, 85% of our population is vaccinated, and we feel now we are in a better position to fully be functional as a society. We are not there yet. We are far from it. And so my appeal today is for the powers that run this government in Nevis and on St. Kitts to listen to poor fools like me and Hensley, to listen to poor fools like me and Hensley and Carlisle and Tulu, and say, listen, this is something that we must do. This is something we have to do. Anything less, we are only blowing in the wind. All right? Everything else is just crazy. Now, a bit of news. Let me repeat again, because people were saying, I was saying the fish event at Newcastle was on Sunday. It's not on Sunday, it's on Monday, of course. Monday. So if I misspoke, my apologies. It is on Monday.
Fishing tournament.
The fishing tournament, fish fry, nice day out, organized by Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, the party leader of the Nevis Reformation Party. It's on Monday, and it should be a fun day for everybody concerned. So make sure you come out and support the event. Now, I saw a post, Hensley, which is very interesting. And we're here, and it says, here it is. The Prime Minister of Aruba, Evelyn Weaver Crowes, has resigned.
Again.
The Prime Minister of Aruba, remember the ABC Islands?
Yes.
Aruba.
Bonnie and Crusoe.
Bonnie and Crusoe being the other two. Evelyn is a lady, of course. Evelyn Weaver Crowes has resigned. Weaver Crowes, the island's first female prime minister, who came into power in November 2017, resigned on Tuesday after prosecutors announced an investigation into one of the parties making up her ruling coalition for suspected embezzlement of funds. They didn't say they suspect her. They suspect a coalition member party of embezzlement, and she stepped down.
Kel, you see me?
Have you ever heard? Can you ever contemplate anything,
No.
even approaching that, in the Federation of Nevis and St. Kitts?
Well, Kel, you know, only one thing I have about that. You see them big word they call embezzlement is thieving. I don't know what embezzlement means. Every time thieving takes place at the top of government, we hear misappropriation of funds, embezzlement. People listening, it is thieving. The charge is stealing, or as we say locally, thieving. And Kel, when a coalition partner is charged with thieving, this is hard to deal with, because see what happens, you know. Investigators throw it up. Mind you, there is no indication that they have completed there's no indication that they have completed the investigation. But if you hear thieving, they open up, they take off the lid. You really want to be around when they start to look in?
But
no,
I give a high mark.
High marks. I mean, a principle.
The optics is not good.
No.
That a member of your coalition.
So what about the thieving at the Land and Housing Corporation? That don't have nothing to do with government.
Boy, today's Easter.
No, I'm going to tell you why it's important for Easter. Palm Sunday. This is what is bothering me. Palm Sunday, the same people who were saying to Jesus, "Hail him, King of the Jews," throw the palm branches and his as he rode through on a donkey. The same people, this is our man. That's the Sunday. By Friday, they were saying, when Pilate said to them, "Who should I give you, that thief named Barabbas or Jesus?" Crucify him. The same people were there. Which country they're from? That is my worry, that the Easter story in Nevis is real. The people who are saying, you mentioned last week about a young man you taught at school. At that time he was saying daily is the best thing since sliced bread.
That's right.
Daily put me on the road.
That's right.
He gave me ideas.
That's right.
But now you hear crucify him.
Crucify him.
To hell with him.
Yep.
And how many of us in Nevis have been doing that to our fellow men? That's the Easter. That's my worry about the Easter story. You know, it is being lived out in Nevis too often. That the very people who you stretch your hands to. Well, okay, listen. Anybody who has been in a classroom, that's why the premier is so deficient in things. We were in the classrooms of the country. That's where you cut your teeth. That's where you understand, poverty, children have lunch, children have books. You have people in St. John's voted for me. They don't even bother to. There are some fellows I know, they tell me, look, Daniel, don't even bother to come. When I remember, I don't even remember, but they remember I gave them lunch.
They remember the kindness.
The kindness. Teachers have to be all kinds of things to people. And when you telling me that the people who taught you in school, you could now say to them, go to hell or let him be burned. The Easter story is worrying. There was another fella in the Bible named Judas, and he took his own life because he betrayed his Lord. But although this is Easter kill, I still want to find out, you know what we mean, Evis? The first 2 weeks, you came here and you mentioned about the galvanized, the lumber and everything were thrown up and they disappear and one man and only somebody take them up and carry them somewhere else.
I mean from the housing and land?
From housing and land. But since that we don't hear nobody get locked up.
No, there was, the minister indicated that there is an internal investigation.
And what it said, by who?
I don't know.
So you get your cousin and your friend.
There was no investigation.
No, but I'm saying I could manufacture. I mean, you know, in science, you could get the results that you want. So they can't say you didn't do an investigation, Kel. But you get somebody who would say that this is what happened. And that, you remember, you know how auditors, they go to jail in the States often, you know. You know why? When you read auditor statements, you hear, is one statement they keep saying, you know, they were cards of. And next thing you hear, the company's stocks drop. The company is in trouble, in receivership. The point I'm trying to make, if there was no investigation, but who else other than you and I must say that there must be an investigation? It's not only you and I money, but
the investigation came out of their playbook. They're the ones who said that they're going to investigate the missing pallets of blocks, all of the other building material. They're the ones who said it. We called for it. They said they're going to do an investigation. I documented the return of the blocks. I mean, there were like 20-something, 24, 28 pallets of blocks that were returned.
How much money that killed?
Why is a lot of money? But
how much?
That
pays, that's a lot of thieving then.
That's a lot of thieving, right? That is a lot of thieving, right? And the issue for me is that the blocks were returned, but I don't know became the other.
What happened to the other things?
Tens of thousands of other items that went missing.
The dollars.
But look what
the overpayment of funds.
But look what happened after. When I started to publicize this pilferage.
No, Kel. Stop use them big words there. You started to publicize thieving. The people must understand it's thieving. Okay. This pilferage, misappropriation, embezzlement. No.
Okay.
Thieving.
When the thieving got to a point where
now you're good,
it became so obvious, they decided to kill the messenger, which is me.
Oh.
And that is when this whole crucifixion. I hate to be in the same, but this is biblical season.
Yeah.
Kill daily, and so. This whole thing about the land is your Kate's Bay, that I'm not a farmer, it's so much similarity to the Bible, I'm telling you, where people who once avowed for you now disavowed you.
Yeah, well.
People who once stood you now stood against you.
People whose children, I went to the prison in St. Kitts, fought with the magistrates and the judges, fought them to make sure that they don't carry young people to prison. Although we're not condoning wrong, but there must be some alternative. You begin to say that I have reached the stage where I say, well, I do it and I don't look back. But Kel, here is the point. Any investigation in Nevis involving money, unless Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers, or one of them is involved, or what's that other one? Well, they're the big four. You know why I'm saying those? PricewaterhouseCoopers and Ernst & Young. They will not. They will write the report. And if you publish anything other than that, they are sufficiently large and solid enough to say, look, that is not what we wrote. And secondly, they will withdraw from the engagement from you, which means
null and void.
Null and void, which means what I'm really saying. Grant Thornton, that's the other one. They can't compromise them. But if you give a little man who already struggling and want a little work to do and tell him, don't they investigate. Mind you, don't look on the materials what Kel talk about. Don't bother with that part there. Just look at a couple of the things. Then you come back and you say the report. Typically what they say is this. There should have been greater oversight of the process. But that doesn't tell you what happened to the millions of dollars gone missing. So I'm just saying how you manufacture a report when you want to say that you did a report. Let Ernst & Young, Grant Thornton.
That ain't gonna happen.
Okay. Well, so the thieving will continue then?
Of course, unabated.
Okay.
It never stopped anyway. But getting back to the young lady in Aruba that resigned as premier, as prime minister, I mean,
it's a woman, you know, the operator principles.
I agree that wholeheartedly. We saw what happened in Antigua, where 2 members of cabinet under Gaston Brown were basically shown the door for even suspicion. Here on St. Kitts and Nevis, we have 2 gentlemen on St. Kitts, Mr. Grant and Mr. Powell, who are sitting in government, elected again for misappropriation of clients' funds. I mean, what message are we really sending to our young people, to our, old people, that you can have persons who have been found wanting in the court to be elected again by the people? It's something that it's amazing to me. We had a situation right here on Nevis where with the First Fidelity Trust, where the premier's wife was the office manager, and he was a board member of a fraudulent company, a company that defrauded customers of their money. Now, he claims, of course, he had resigned his post as a director. After when? After he discovered the people who are being robbed, systematically robbed? I don't understand it. You had a matter with the Anbas, where Justice Ramdani said to him, I don't know who you're representing, whether you represented the interests of the company that you sold the land, your wife sold the land to, or you represented the people of Nevis.
You mean the case where the unusual happened?
The unusual happened. These are, if a high court judge in its capacity can say to a sitting premier of the country, I don't know on whose side are you on. You are conflicted to the point of absurdity. This is what the judge is saying to him. I don't know which interests you are serving, because you're acting on behalf of the private developers. Your wife is the agent for the private developers. Your very position in the government is that you're supposed to represent the people, but yet we are finding that the level of conflict is so unusual. If that did not move Mr. Brantley to resign, I don't know what else would. That's clearly an abomination and an abuse of power. And the abuse continues. The abuse continues. You understand? He took up $9,000 of our money to pay a young lady in St. Thomas's to be out there campaigning. These are facts. Facts. I'm not making this up. It's all there. Right? These are things that are occurring time and time again. This level of abuse. He took it out on me in his radio show. Huh? Using his political office to chase me off a land I've been occupying since 1998. How again does a premier get involved in a land matter? Because I am the one criticizing the government. I'm the one out there getting the information to the public for them to see the level of rot in this government, the level of abuse in this government, the level of incompetence in this government. So of course, I'll be the focal point of the abuse. I don't mind. I do not mind. I'll take the blows for the people of Nevis any day of the week. Now, my sister wouldn't agree with me, and my family and my kids wouldn't agree with me. But somebody has to do it. I've taken it on. I'm taking all the blows. But through blows and adversity, you get stronger. You become a better person. You become a more understanding person. You become a more competent person. You understand? And I'm not looking for immortality. I'm not looking for any great legacy. I'm looking to serve the public good on behalf of the people of Nevis. That's it's all about. Because if they can do this to me, and I treasure myself, I think of myself, as an educated, well-trained, talented person. A person who can defend himself, either in the court of law or in the public. What happened to the barefoot barber on the road, who has nobody in their corner? And the government is trudging on them the same way. It is not fair. This is not fair. And so the government will continue doing what they do until the people will decide enough is enough. And that's what's going to happen. The people will have to decide enough is enough. It's time to move on. And I hope we get there sooner than later. You understand? So my hat's off again to the young lady in Aruba for doing the right thing and setting this matter to rest. Because how can you govern a country when there's this deep dark cloud over your head? Every decision becomes suspect. Every policy becomes suspect. Every conversation you have becomes suspect. And so it is the right thing to do. Remove yourself from the equation and let the matters be properly ventilated in the court. You finished mashing up the studio now? All right. And so
But Kel, the decision to resign is an indication that, look, I can only function on the basis that the public trust is there. So the moment you have an investigation into one of your political colleagues, then there's the trust level drops. So she basically is recognizing that, boy, look, I can't really run a government when you have a man down for thieving. You know what I mean? So she is reaching to a larger level. Some of the leaders...
An ethical level, moral level.
She's going to a level which,
But when everybody in the government is thieving, how do you deal with a matter like that?
A politician in Trinidad years ago say, all are we thief?
So who thieving more?
All are we thief? So the thing is, what this does, it makes it very difficult for new and emerging politicians who really want to serve the public, because people begin to say, I've had that, all of you the same. And same in what way? How could you put all of us in the same basket? I was talking to somebody a few days ago, and I was making the same point about the vaccine. And I said, look, let the scientists speak. Let the politicians stay out of the way. She says, all of you are the same. No. How is all of us the same? Were we involved in any vaccine that we say we're going to do that? No, what I find, though, is that especially the CCM supporters, they're not going to buy anything that their government is doing anything wrong. So the way they normally respond is, all of you the same. I say, well, where is the evidence? And that leaves me to make a point. When we say something about you, Kel, they must say the evidence. When the young fella says that you should go to hell, let him tell you the reasons why you think you should go to hell, where he can no longer celebrate you. We are making too many decisions based on emotion. And so when you want to say that you're not going to vote for this person or you don't like this person, get us the evidence. Not liking me is not evidence, Not liking me.
But it comes back to a conversation I had this afternoon with a friend of mine. And we were talking about exactly that. How do we overcome this level of misinformation, this vacuum of information, this lack of knowledge about how government works, the connectivity between your status in life and your government in power? Where does the conversation start? It's not sufficient to be able to identify who our leaders are in government. We must be able to identify the positions and the policies that our government is putting forward at the earliest ages.
And what are they supposed to do?
What are they supposed to do?
What is government for, Ken?
Right? And I believe that we miss the opportunity to not continue our civics lessons that we had in boys' school and girls' school. That went out the window for whatever reason. We stopped the curriculum with academic work, left out those connecting principles where you show your role as a citizen, the government's role, and how the two interrelate. We have missed that in a big way.
Are you saying?
And that is why people are so difficult to change in their view, because, like I say, I look alike, because they don't understand government works. They have no clue how government works. So I'm saying, let us now let us do something. Let us reintroduce common sense into our curricula, where civics lessons, and I'm using civics in a broader sense, right, is communicated to our young people from the primary school all the way to sixth form. Let us try to bring them into the conversation as to their role, their responsibilities, and the government role and the government responsibilities, and to show where there's a nexus between them. Somebody is responsible. As a citizen, you must be able to decipher who is responsible for this, who is responsible for that, what is my role in it. If your role is to make sure you have a competent government in the administration of the affairs of the country, that is your role, to make sure that government is elected. Without that information, I don't see how we're going to create the kind of environment that obviates what you're saying, the sort of ignorance in our population, that people don't understand how government really works.
And people have, Mikhail, there is a section in there which has to do with, there's a word, sometimes I nearly think it's a bad word in English, patriotism. When was the last time you hear the politicians in CCM and the supporters say, boy, this is not good for Nevis. Nevis deserves better. Or I am a CCM, but this is wrong in Nevis. No, because we have been trained to put the country. We have a motto which says country above self. But with the way we are operating is our self first. So I am agreeing with you, and I want to put in there. It seems as if we are afraid to teach government in Nevis.
Absolutely afraid.
Why are we
absolutely afraid?
Well, you need to know that the Governor General, then the Prime Minister, then the Speaker is the third on the list and different. I have had to.
Yeah, but you see, the problem with the Hensley is this:
you gonna get educated.
No. How are they teaching it? My little daughter, she's 8 years old. She had a test, and she didn't do well. She did fairly well in the test. She got 8 out of 100. And it was a social studies test. And all they were asking for her to do was to identify the various positions in government. Prime Minister, Premier, Deputy Premier, blah, 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 down the line.
No opposition.
Nobody from opposition was mentioned. As if opposition are members of the government. Opposition are members of the government.
They represent half the
population.
They
represent half the population. Let me tell you something. So Cleon Stephen Simmons is nowhere on the list.
No.
She's a parliamentarian from St. Thomas's. She sits in parliament and defends.
And the only elected woman.
The only elected member
woman.
And she's not part of the vocabulary of that test, a part of the test. I'm saying this goes to the heart of the misunderstanding of why we are here, why things are the way they are.
But I agree with you, Kel. You know, while I was in preparing to understand politics, I've been reading so much about government, because I don't want to look stupid when I go to government, or somebody asks me critical questions in you as a politician. But the young people in the country, what bothers me, Kel, is that they are missing out.
A lot.
They're missing out.
A lot.
And the opportunity to learn about the country. I mean, if you are a CCM, if you learn that Simeon Daniel is the first premier of Nevis, what you're going to do? Change the facts? The facts are stubborn things. So you have to learn that, but you also have to learn the opposition, what the parliament looks like. What is it? People don't know. And so that is why when you talk to a number of these people, they don't care. As long as me man in government, me no care. That is the kind of culture of that's a culture of ignorance, and that's not good. And I was going to ask the question, what do you think, why we don't teach it? You think the politicians are able to deal with an informed?
That is the biggest fear.
And that is the biggest pushback.
An educated person is the most dangerous person in the world. A pen is mightier than a sword any day of the week.
All right.
I'm telling you that.
Well, I know that.
Right? And that is the fear of any government. When you have a critical mass of your population being educated, they're not easily fooled. You can boil blood. They can able to decipher what you're saying is nonsense or it makes sense. But if you have a electorate that is remaining in the dark about their roles, about the role of government and how both intertwine, then you can end up with situations exactly like you're describing, where people simply do not know. But again, whose fault is it that they don't know?
It's us.
It's us.
It's us. It's us.
It's all of us.
All of us. And look at it.
And not to cut you off, I want to make this point before I forget. I listened to Reverend, what's his name, the gentleman from Georgia who was elected recently.
Raphael Warnock.
I listened to that gentleman, right? And not only is he a brilliant orator, but he's a brilliant visionary. And he has taken his preaching,
of course,
to a level that Martin Luther King would be proud of.
He's in charge of his church.
He is saying his church is not just about saving souls, but about saving lives. His church is not about just preaching religion, but also getting his church to be politically active, because politics is the heartbeat of everything that happens in this world. Yes. And people must understand that. Now, if a preacher who is saying he's leading a drive to register persons, to get persons to the poll, to preach a message.
That don't make it a sin.
That
does make it a sin.
And
But he's following on from Martin Luther King, who says that Martin Luther King says it well. They say that he's an extremist. And Martin Luther King said, yes, but Amos was an extremist for justice. He said, let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. So he being like him. And he says an extremist like Jesus. Jesus said, love your neighbor like yourself. That's hard work,
Very hard to do.
To love your neighbor as yourself. And those who don't love don't know God. So here the point. One of my brother Hastings says to me, when people say they're not interested in politics, don't believe them. Hastings says politics in English is like sex. Everybody is doing it, but everybody is saying not me.
On that note, I think we have come to the end.
So this idea that I am not. Look, Kel, I just finished with this. When in politics, it happened to me several times. I go to people, I'm not interested in politics. I'm looking for me Jesus. Kel, when the polls open at 7 o'clock.
The day first in line.
Oh, and they look. So I said to one of them, Jesus is here this morning. I hope he will bless me with getting a victory here. Because you say you're looking for your Jesus, so you come down here by the polling station. So me done with politics, but me looking for me Jesus, and the Jesus, that person is in the line, Kel, before the polling station open. So Hastings' point is correct.
In some countries, I think somewhere in Scandinavia, it's politically, it's mandatory that you vote.
No, in Australia, you're fined if you don't.
Okay.
And in some countries, you have to pay if you don't vote. The Nivision is working out that he doesn't have to show his hand because
it's a dangerous thing,
Yeah, It's dangerous to show your hand.
It's very dangerous.
I appreciate the fact that people don't want to show their hand because the
dangerous.
suffering has been hard for
dangerous.
those of us who show our hands. I mean, you're talking about being robbed of $500, you know, I mean, you know.
I tell people, there should not be a history between myself and Mr. Brantley. There's no history there except, the funny thing is, let me start here, all right?
Niece.
My niece, my brother Dennis' first daughter, is also Mark Brantley's first niece. So we share a niece in common, right? And so when you start measuring people and understand the depth at which they'll go to, understand that blood doesn't mean anything. Political objectives and political pound of flesh is all that matters. All right, so I will end there. Just to update, we are still moving quickly on our project, our passion project. We should be fairly on the way by after Easter. The gentleman who is doing most of the work in terms of fencing of the new property, and we're going to start setting out the stakes, building the shade house, building the trellising. That is all progressing. I must thank all those persons who reached out and donated building materials that they had, for whatever reason. Maybe they had a project and they finished. We have collected quite a bit so far. And so it's a work in progress. Until the man, I have not quit. The matter at the farm of Cades Bay is not settled. So don't think that I've quit. I'm not a quitter. You understand? The courts will now decide what goes forward and what doesn't. So don't feel that I've quit. Don't bet against me. Don't bet against me.
Okay.
You know, you will lose your money. All right. So
okay, Kel, just one other thing. I think I have to underscore the importance of the fact that we in the NRP we're reaching out on this weekend. Yesterday, Honorable Cleon Stapleton had the kite flying at Cotton Ground. And there's on Monday there are going to be other activities, cleaning the pond in Cotton Ground.
Today they're having an Easter egg hunt.
Easter egg hunt and some activity on Monday.
How was the breakfast in Gingerland?
Went well. Went very well. And so, breakfast in Gingerland. Last week you had breakfast, right? End of last Saturday in the month. Then this week. And so, we must invite all of our supporters, friends, well-wishers, and the whole of Nevis to come taste and see that NRP is good. You know, you talk about in the Bible, come taste and see that the Lord is good. Come taste and see. And I believe Janice has a lot of things over there and Cleon for people to taste tasty food.
So St. James is the place to be on Monday. Janice Daniel Hodge, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, with her fishing tournament, fish fry. That's the date for Monday. And the other activities for St. Thomas's, as we would have spoken just now. So come out and show support. I do thank all who stayed the course. We had quite a viewership today, and I do appreciate your presence. Have a blessed Easter and this very safe Easter weekend. My God protect you and have His mercy on you, and keep you safe. All right. So next week Saturday, same time, same station. I'll be here along with Hensley to bring you more information as what's happening in the land of your birth here on Nevis. Bless. Yes. See you later.
Yes. Okay. Take out a break to the
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Trouble again, you know. Who feels it, knows it, no? See it, my good. Some medicine. When the weed smells I stink and I think what I think when I use my instincts. Bad mind people to sing, them I try cut we link, push me over the brink of them evil. People so evil, them smile and them laugh while them aim for your heart with them evil. No start and them light and which go, not just the shadow in a day, much less of a dark and them evil. People so evil, you rise to the top and them want see you flop, them a pray every day, sit down a chat and a plot. Watch the food for your plate and I search for your part of the evil. People so evil, just up in my shoes, I look a job for your food. You do a long interview, prepare your bills and your dues. Go through your address and your skin color, them know I use. So them evil. People so evil. Politics, realize and promises. See the poor, see the poor, and the rich, get rich. Look for them with their office. Them take we put and treat you like shit. And them evil. People so evil. System a fight me, we fight in the system. We don't like police and police them not like it. I belong to the